Hey everyone, Geophysicist Stefan Burns here. We just had a 1.5 X-class flare explode on the sun, boom shakalaka. This launched a big coronal mass ejection out into space, which will be impacting us around April 1st, the same day that NASA has set aside to launch 4 astronauts to the moon. 5.5 hours after this 1.5 X-class flare, we had the second strongest earthquake of 2026 rupture, a magnitude 7.3 in Vanuatu, where there is a very active volcano. In fact, that earthquake struck directly underneath that volcano. We have a sun grazer comet coming in on April 4th. We have all these sunspots on the Earth-facing side of the sun. It could perhaps provoke those sunspots to be very, very active and launch out some coronal mass ejections, these plasma storms. This is very possible. These astronauts may be in for a bumpy ride, and they are launching on the full moon should the launch proceed on April Fool's Day. That is no joke. They are deciding to launch on April Fool's Day. So a lot to cover in today's video. Let's get right into it. Here we can see that 1.5 X-class flare with our 131 angstrom view, a long duration event, meaning that there was a lot of light flux that was emitted from this. This is X-ray, extreme ultraviolet. We also have, of course, UV and optical and all the frequencies, radio, microwave, and more. So this really hit Earth with a lot of photonic energy pretty much immediately, 8.3 minutes after it happened, and well, it was shortly followed up by a big earthquake in Vanuatu on the sunlit side of the Earth. We can really see the shock wave produced by this big X-class flare by looking at our Halo CME model here. So beautiful coronal shock wave. You notice that this is not in that Earth center zone. That is right around here. It's going to be there in about 2.5 days. So really starting around April 1st to April 3rd is that most critical time window where it'll be lined up with our planet, but we also have some time on the side where it could still be geo-effective. So we're in the period right now where this sunspot is very, very active and can definitely launch some stuff our way. It already has, but I'm talking about even more than this. We could get a solar storm pile up to come in. We can see this coronal mass ejection propagate out with our C3 coronagraph view. This is our wide view of the sun. We put an occluding disk over it, denoted by this white circle, to block out the harsher light so we can see the solar wind in these sort of solar storms. You'll notice Saturn right there. It just performed a superior conjunction with the sun, Saturn Cazimi, around the 25th of March. Here is that gigantic coronal mass ejection, has a nice halo characteristic to it, meaning that it is inbound to us, that we see that the bulk of the plasma is moving behind Earth's orbit, a little bit to the south, but in general along the ecliptic plane as well, that Sun-Earth plane. So we will get hit by this. It's kind of an open question as to how much we're going to get hit, because clearly the bulk of the plasma is heading this way. Again, we can see that very clearly here with our Halo CME model, but we do see that shock wave going out in Earth's direction as well. Here is the NASA model for this. Estimated impact around 1800 Universal Time on the 31st to about midnight on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. This could be delayed a little bit. I don't think it'll come in sooner than that. We see this propagate out again. We see behind Earth's orbit. This is the top-down view. Here's our south-north view, pretty much along the ecliptic plane. We see that Earth does get hit. Another key thing to look at here is that we have this co-rotating interaction region right there. This is already a bit of a pileup of plasma in space. You see that the solar wind forms this spiral pattern. That's just basically what we always observe. That's very normal. So this coronal mass ejection, though, launching out is going to catch up to that co-rotating interaction region basically right as it's scheduled or slated to already sweep by our planet, and that is going to create even stronger traffic jam of plasma, you could say, and as a result this solar storm impact is likely to be stronger. We could get some follow-up solar storms as a result of maybe more X-class flares in the coming hours and days. We'll see. But already this is looking like we have a G3 geomagnetic storm inbound. If you're in high latitude regions, you're definitely going to want to make sure you schedule the 1st of April to get out there and see the aurora. This is probably going to stretch down into mid-latitude zones. And well, NASA is scheduled to launch effectively on this day. They already did set back their Artemis 2 mission in February. They were slated to launch in February, and then we had huge solar activity, multiple X-class flares, M-class flares. They canceled, said it was due to some sort of leak with the rocket. They never once addressed the solar activity. Even though you're sending people into space where there's high energy particle flux, and with a big solar storm, it's effectively like being at the blast wave of a nuclear bomb. Like, not the actual shock wave, but those high energy particles break your DNA strands, single or double, and then you get mutations and cancer, or, you know, it's just heavy radiation load on the body. That's what this is. So it's not really a good idea to be sending astronauts to space when there's this sort of activity. Now, if it's a spotless sun and things are calm and quiet, yeah, send them up. Let's do some cool stuff. But it's just adding more risk to the people and also to the spacecraft, because you have the actual spacecraft electronics also susceptible to these relativistic particles. If you get one to hit a transistor gate and it flips it from 0 to 1 and it shouldn't be, right, that can cause a software failure. I mean, they have backups and everything, but it's just an additional risk. We see an orbital animation for Artemis 2 here. They do this loop in near Earth space in the radiation belts and then fling outwards to the moon. Now, the full moon is on the 1st of April, so it's already a heightened energetic moment on April Fool's Day. It's going to be a 10-day mission overall. We'll see if they actually launch on April 1st. Right now, the weather is giving them about an 80% okay rate. So there is a chance that they scrub because of weather. Actually, that's probably a good thing if it happens, in my opinion. But because the full moon is on April 1st, it'll be directly in the magnetotail. It takes about 3 days to exit the magnetotail. So by around the time that Artemis 2 reaches the moon, it'll be right at the edge of the magnetic field. And if this solar storm is coming in, or there's even more to come in, then that really can crunch on everything and just basically blast these astronauts with high energy particles. And so we'll see if they even address this activity. It's interesting that NASA is releasing these sort of space weather models. They're the ones providing us with all this solar imagery thanks to the Solar Dynamics Observatory, but there's like a disconnect with their astronaut team and some of their deep space missions and stuff. It's just like, I think they're talking, but it doesn't seem like that. At least they never really address it from the public's point of view. So that's what's happening right now with our sun. I think we have more activity inbound. I think this is probably the first of quite a few events. Maybe not necessarily X-class flares guaranteed, but I think we definitely have more M-class flares coming in from sunspot group 4405, and we'll have a lot of sunspots on the Earth-facing side of the sun for the next few days. So we're just in general in a period of heightened activity from these sunspots. They just charge up the ionosphere more, the global electric circuit, and this influences terrestrial events, geophysical events, and earthquakes, volcanoes, and well, that's exactly what we just saw with that magnitude 7.3 earthquake that struck Vanuatu. Here we see our magnitude 7.3 earthquake that struck Vanuatu east of Australia there. Here we see the seismic waves from that propagate across Europe, which is fairly close to the antipode further south in West Africa. And you'll notice that we get waves coming from one direction and then they come in from the other direction. Because it's slightly offset from that antipode, they're coming in like this, creating this interesting cymatic pattern. You'll notice like this mixing that occurs. Really interesting stuff. The entire Earth is shaking from that earthquake. Now, if you're in Europe, you're not feeling that, but our high precision seismometers can pick that up. Even if it's a magnitude 9, you wouldn't feel that. But the entire Earth rings like a bell from big earthquakes, especially when you go magnitude 7 or greater. So this was a big earthquake. We see it here as part of a larger global seismic burst. We see our global seismic activity for the past 90 days. This is the Earth Evolution website. It's earthevolution.com/energy-analytics. I have Schumann resonances here. Here we see our global seismic activity level provided by Volcano Discovery. Our 7.5 magnitude earthquake that struck Tonga there. And here is our magnitude 7.3 that struck Vanuatu, very close by. So we have a lot of activity right now hitting the South Pacific, and this is definitely an area to watch for volcanic activity. I think that is really important. Here again, we can see the antipode location. I just want to get your eyes on this. There's Vanuatu, it's Mauritania for the antipode, but Europe is just slightly offset from that. So that's how you get that cymatic mixing in that area. But a big earthquake like that in general, the whole Earth is shaking. We see these seismic waves also propagate out across Japan. So we'll see these waves of green move over Japan. So again, the whole Earth picked this up, different seismic networks creating these visualizations for us here. This was a big event. Here we can see some prior activity at Vanuatu, the volcano there, okay? Manaro Voi volcano on Ambae Island. So this is very, very active. We see big ash plumes going up. This is on March 7th right here. Alert level right now set for 3 out of 5. So definitely something to pay attention to. Now, especially that this big magnitude 7.3 struck directly underneath this volcano, 116 kilometers down. And we can look at the activity back on the 28th of February. Yeah, you wouldn't want to be anywhere near this. So this thing is pumping out energy. It really, when you get the video, you really get a sense of just how powerful this is versus the photo. Because just look how fast these gas emissions are coming up. So when you have a big earthquake underneath a volcano, that pressure wave is going through all the different magma conduits and lava tubes and more that feed the volcano. And when you get pressure waves that hit them, that can cause there to be a destabilization of the magma, some off-gassing, and then you can get basically an eruption, an explosion. That is certainly possible. We've seen this many times before. You often get really big earthquakes before really big volcanic eruptions. I'm talking big volcanic eruptions. So there is a strong connection between the two, of course. And while we also see a strong connection between solar activity and earthquakes. So one and then the other, then the other. There is this chain reaction that occurs. It's very, very interesting. So Vanuatu and this volcano here, Manaro Voi volcano, is definitely one to watch as we continue forward in time. We can also see the ash plume from this with some satellite imagery here. So this was back in March and we see this ash cloud going out. And this is big eruption, but not like what it could be. And maybe this 7.3 really ramps it up to a whole new level. Now, the other thing to mention in this report is the sun grazer comet that's currently accelerating towards the sun to perform its perihelion on April 4th. This will be just 0.005 astronomical units away from the sun. Basically, it's going to touch the outermost edge of the sun, the corona. It could perhaps interact with some of these sunspots. It's also possible that it actually directly impacts the sun. That could happen. The sun could just decide to just pull it in. But it's more likely that it will fling around the sun. It probably won't survive its perihelion. We'll see. If it does, it'll be a very bright comet, but there is some evidence that it's maybe a little bit weaker and smaller than first estimates, and so it may not survive its perihelion. But we have that coming in on April 4th. So we have this big sunspot and solar flare combo, the coronal mass ejection coming in, all these sunspots on the Earth-facing side. Then, of course, we have this Artemis 2 mission perhaps launching on the 1st, and then the sun grazer comet is going to come in on the 4th. That's a 10-day space mission. If they do launch on the 1st, this comet will be flying in as they are out there in space hurtling towards the moon. So I just really am looking at this closely, and I don't think it's the best time. We just have one of these classic energy bursts that's hitting the sun, the earth, and more. The full moon's on the 1st. It's just not a good time to do this, in my opinion. And I talked about that in yesterday's live stream, and we just very clearly see that here with our sun grazer comet C2026 A1 maps. Could even impact again, and we've seen how comet impacts the sun trigger big coronal mass ejection. So a lot happening in the next few days. And I decided, because of everything that's occurring right now in this historic moon mission, to run a sale on the website earthevolution.com, where I sell a variety of holistic wellness products and also merchandise. These herbal teas we make and mix ourselves, my dad and I. He just had his heart surgery. A lot of you have been asking about him. Everything is great, he's fine. So thank you all so much for your prayers and love. The code is to the moon for 5% off till April 5th. So if you want to pick something up, now is the time, 5% off using the code to the moon, all one word. I really recommend the herb coffee because a lot of people drink coffee. And the thing is, when you have these sort of energy bursts with the big solar flares, coronal mass ejections, geomagnetic storms, all the things, you want to be drinking something that doesn't spike your cortisol as much. If you are going to still drink your coffee, and herb coffee is 50% coffee, so it's only half caff. And so you still get a little bit of that buzz, but not in a way that maybe is too stressful for the body when you have this extra energy coming in. It also has roasted chicory root, roasted dandelion root. Those are fantastic for you. It's all organic. The coffee is single origin, shade grown Peruvian, medium roast, and it also has lion's mane mushroom, and not just a dusting of it, but a good amount of lion's mane mushroom. So it is this perfect blend of helping you get focused but creative, and it can rewire your brain and enhance neuroplasticity and more. It's just in general a fantastic coffee blend to drink that will really work for you rather than against you. The roasted dandelion root and the chicory are good for your gut and microbiome. Some coffees can kind of disturb your gut and more. So this is good to have on hand for these sort of energetic moments. I would also recommend picking up some spirituality. This is really good for this as well because it helps you to rest and relax. So it's a great tea to drink later on in the afternoon, at night, if you are going to a yoga class or you want to meditate. This is the one to drink. It does have the ability to enhance your dreams. So if you really want to kind of dip into that space and connect more with your subconscious and learn the lessons that maybe are coming up for you at this time, spirituality is great for that. But in general, it just helps you get a nice restful night's sleep. And then there are other uses for it for more advanced practitioners, perhaps like astral travel and more. This can help potentiate that, but it's not psychedelic. It's just in general a really good tea blend to get your body in a conducive state to explore into these other dimensions of reality that we live within. The dream state being one that I think almost all of us have interacted with. It has 4 ingredients. It's really, really simple. The best blend. It's purple lotus flower, chamomile, passion flower, and mugwort. I formulated this in 2022 when I was looking to make my own dream tea blend, and this is what I settled on. A lot of people expressed interest, and well, there's the story. I started offering it and people love it. So those 2 are really, really great. There's also merchandise, other tea blends. Honestly, I recommend that you pick just like one of each of the tea blends up because they all have their uses. They're all super, super good for you and tasty. Again, all organic, fantastic stuff. So the code for 5% off till April 5th is to the moon, all one word, a flash sale, 5% off. Hope you pick some things up. We'll ship it out to you as soon as we can. Very, very quick, USA only. So that's it for today's video, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been your host, Stefan Burns. I will keep you up to date on everything that's happening with the Earth energetically, with our sun, with solar activity, space weather, our interstellar and cosmic environment. I release videos almost daily, so please subscribe. I also have a Clips channel. That's at Stefan Burns Clips. It's linked in the video description. Subscribe to that one as well, because I release a lot of shorter updates there as well. So thank you all so much. Wishing each and every single one of you well. One request is that I know a lot of people often when we get these sort of energy bursts, they talk about, hey, who's feeling it? I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that, pain, whatever. I would ask you instead to, rather than this maybe stating symptoms if you have them, to comment what you're doing to improve and make yourself feel better. What positive steps you're taking forward, because I think this mindset shift and this community shift would be a good thing for everybody. So that would be my encouragement to anyone that's feeling this, is to focus instead on what you can do to improve your situation, feel better, to harness these energies for positive growth and for positive outcomes, because that is what we need more of right now on this planet. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you all very soon.